Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Sons and Daughters of Liberty. I am going to continue the discussion from Saturday night. And I had a phone call coming that I had to take. And maybe this time I can keep the F-bombs out of the discussion. But for the most part, guys, I mean, we're going to be talking about, yes, I know it's kind of a little bit, stir up emotions, to get things heated a bit. Even with me, I got a little heated. Some of the things I was hearing basically from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, just the way things were being talked about. So yes, even I allow some things to trigger me, especially when I hear viewpoints coming from someone that claims to be a descendant of Holocaust survivors, and they're talking about a night, open war, killing all black race. I mean, that's kind of the same rhetoric that Adolf Hitler promoted. So yeah, that was kind of heated Saturday when I did the video. Not that I don't see the person's. I see some of the person's standpoints and views, and I kind of agree with some, but I don't agree when we start resulting to eradication and violence. History has shown us lessons on that, and those are lessons that we should follow and not repeat. And we also have to realize we're dealing with different cultures as well. We're dealing with, in the United States, we have a constitution. It gives us liberties, rights, and freedoms. It gives us freedom to express ourselves, freedom to believe in the religions that we believe in, which also makes discussing these things a little bit harder, because we touch on touchy subjects. We start hitting on people's beliefs and making them question those beliefs. Because we are protected under the Constitution with these things. But at the same time, a lot of these things are being used to cause division amongst us. It's causing good causes to be turned bad, so to speak. We do have a problem. We all can agree on one thing: we have a problem. We have a problem with refugees coming into countries and not adapting to the country's laws, integrating to that country. The reason you leave a country like that, if you claim to call yourself a refugee, you're leaving a country to free yourself from those very same oppressions, the very same violences that are going on. You don't go flee the country to turn that another country into that country. The only time that happens is when you're actually invading a country subvertly, which is a tactic of warfare. It's been practiced throughout centuries. Because when you influx another bring a huge amounts of flood, huge amounts of refugees into a country, you're bringing in new diseases. You're putting strains on the market. You're putting strains on the people. All at the efforts of weakening that country's. But on the same token, what do we have going on here in the United States? We have tons of different ideologies that are clashing. We've seen a huge rise in the alt-right, alt-wide, alt-media. But yet we see the divisions in them where they argue. The very same person I was talking about earlier is part of the alt-right. You need to join these alt-right sites and stuff. I can go to different alt-right media sites and websites that have a completely different philosophy and ideology of what this person was saying. And it's, there's a danger. That's where the danger in the rhetoric comes in. We have right, libertarian, conservatives, Republican, Democrats, socialism, capitalists, and the list just keeps going on and on. We eventually just keep coming up with mainstream things. But in the end, let's look at, we just use the top three right now. We have the alt, we have the left, we have the right. Tell me, is there any common ground on them? Or there's division in all of them? The only thing the Democrats can agree on right now, is just causing mayhem, chaos, and obstruction. We all can agree on that one. But then again, if we agree on that, we are taking an alt or Republican stance. See how they form the divisions? First off, foremost, this channel is only about one thing: we the people, for the people. Finding ways to overcome these diversities, because this is a diversity. Now, diversity just doesn't mean transgender, homosexuality, religion. Don't get me started on the robot thing. Will be another form of diversity. Just give it a few more years. How we're being unfair to AIs and robots. It's coming. I can laugh about it now, but probably in a couple of years from now, it's not going to be so funny when I rewatch this. And it's like, man, I was right. So how do we get past these ideologies? This rhetoric of diversity? Well, for one, I'm going to tell you right now, annihilating the whole race, the whole culture. We've done that in the past. It hasn't got us nowhere. History has shown us. Go study that stuff online. Put a very good hour and 15-minute video on the Crusades. Again, revisited with another person on the show. Go watch it. Not saying I agree with everything that was stated in that, but on the historical, factual side, they bring up good facts. That's the other thing. We need to get out of this ideology that everything somebody says offends them, and we need to call them either bigots, heretics. Oh, because we don't use heretic anymore. My bad. But don't mind if you call me that, because you should probably go look up the root origin and where it started and originating from in history, and you'll find that it means free thinker. We allow these ideologies, these diversities, these terms, labels to affect us, trigger us, offend us. To where, let's talk about white. whites in a lot of countries have become the minority. I broke a little bit of this down in the other video, but you can get past all the F-bombs. I think you might enjoy it a little bit. Because we live in a society that, I hate to say it, we've just can find anything and everything offensive now. And we don't stop and question why. Why did that offend you? Why does change offend people? We never ask questions. Until we start asking those questions, we might start being able to trace them back to how they started, why they started. We might be able to start seeing the patterns that develop these things to come about. And now we're starting to see a lot of these patterns. Some of this stuff was started 30 years ago, and some farther back than that. Right in your face, up front, telling you about these very same things, implementing these things. Why? Because they wanted a nation divided. They wanted a country divided. For what purpose? Take your guess. We can call it many things. And truthfully, do we know what they call those many things? It could be the real thing? No. Usually something that's in your face, talked about so much, it's usually a smoke and mirror, something very much more diabolical behind it. People will say, well, you're a constitutionalist. There we go with the label. No. I honor and support the Constitution as it's written. I might have different beliefs, but you know what? Some people, but if I see them and their constitutional rights being violated, I am going to defend them. Whether I agree with what they say or not. It might not be my beliefs, but the Constitution gives them the right to have those beliefs and practices, and therefore it is our jobs as U.S. citizens, the people that claim to be believers of the Constitution, as Americans. We don't need diversity. Diversity, if we believe in diversity, then we do not believe in America. There's the deception. There's the rhetoric. There's the lie. They preach diversity. Diversity this. Diversity this. Instead of calling us Americans. I see a lot of people say, we're proud of our patriotism. We're proud of our Constitution. I don't hear. And I see a few people now starting to say, I'm proud to be an American. We all should be proud to be American. Our Constitution, our Americanism should be our rallying cry. That's what made people want to come to this country, to migrate to this country, to integrate into this country by our laws and follow them, because it was a dream of a better purpose and a better place. But now we got politicians that want to allow refugees to come into this country who doesn't want to integrate. In fact, they want us to assimilate. Notice I'm using the word assimilate, which I said I never would because I know what it means. And there's a big difference between assimilate and integrate. Assimilate is forced upon a person. Integrate is choice, to choose to integrate into a society that prospers, that treats people equally, and respects other people's views and beliefs. What America used to stand for and starting to stand for again. I don't care if you say you're alt, this, left, right. It doesn't mean nothing to me. I give those words no meaning. Why? Because at the same point I can point out the differences on both of your alt-right groups. You guys are argue back and forth, have different ideas and philosophies on things, and it's causing a division within you. Every time you come up with something new, it starts off good, it looks good, it has a great movement, then the division comes to split the movement. behind Democrats, Republicans, alt, whatever alt you want to put behind it, the word. You are an American. Well, don't worry, I'm going to go a little bit farther on this too, because I'm going to talk about some of the other issues that have been being brought up quite often. Yes, I do believe in men need to be men again. History has shown us why men need to be men. History has also shown us why women need to be women. I'm not knocking the homosexuality or the transgender community, not one bit. We're protected under the Constitution, I respect that. But at the same token, I also ask you to respect our views and beliefs as well. And know that they're using that diversity of yours to pit all of us against each other. See, once again, now I would have offended people because some of that goes against people's beliefs. Well, I believe only one thing is what our Constitution says. Our Constitution says they have every right, as we do, to have our beliefs and practices. That's what we need to get back to. That's what our forefathers wanted for this country in the first place. That's why so many people migrated here and became Americans. For that very ideology, that very standard of freedom. I know I don't have the followers, I don't have the subscribers. I know it'll take time for this message to get out there. And I know, which is probably a good thing, because, I already know this is going to offend so many people on every side. Why does it offend? Stop, ask, why did it offend you? Why did I trigger you? Why? Is there some truth in what I'm saying? Am I making you question some of your ideas? That's the good thing, guys. Questioning things is good. Unlike they try to teach us, we're not supposed to question authority figures. Well, if we don't question authority figures, there's no checks and balances. If we don't question ideologies, philosophies, then those ideologies can become, dare I say it, extreme. It's rhetorics. Even when it wasn't intended to be. Or those ideologies could silence a cause. Far too long, people have voted one-sided, whether it be Republican or Democrat. This election here, we've seen a lot of people stop voting like that. And yes, it caused division. It caused chaos. It caused a disruption. It caused people to question things. And not so much question things, they got tired of seeing the same thing repeat. All these promises made, and as soon as they take office, they do completely the opposite. Why do we allow diversity to divide? We claim to be Americans. We claim to believe and stand for the Constitution, but yet we allow it, people to use it to cause division. I mean, it's very black and white, my friends. And I don't mean that racistly. I shouldn't have to say that. I'm talking about the paper and the words. They're very black and white, where common sense dictates it. Shouldn't be. We don't need interpreters for it. Then again, maybe we do. Maybe that's why Thomas Paine wrote Common Sense. And that was even before the Constitution was ever even signed. There's a lot of new movements out there, good causes, good movements. But every time one crops up, it starts off good. Then there's a slew of people infiltrate it and slowly start changing it. And it's not hard to do, guys. It's just manipulating words and showing and planting ideas that aren't fully true. A half truth is a lie. It's still pretty much a lie because you're just filling the rest in with your ideology, your lie, and using just that little bit of half truth to subvertly distract everybody else because they see the little truth in it and they don't question the rest. For some others, somebody's going to ask, am I going to apologize for Saturday's video? Hell no. I'm not going to apologize because I got triggered and I did a stream based on emotion. I've chosen my freedom of speech and I've chosen to express myself. And we should never apologize for those things. Now, if I said something in that video that I come later to find that was wrong, or my view changed on it, then I will apologize for that section where I was wrong or my view changed, and I will tell you why. And in fact, it's probably, some of you say it's apology. To me, it's not even an apology. It's me learning and growing. Me being a man and standing up for when I was wrong and admitting it. But I've been proven even to today that I'm not wrong about that certain subject that actually triggered me. Because one person just keeps blowing up feeds, preaching the same thing. And you know the worst part of it is? And I understand it. You're not from America. You're not an American. You live in a country where this is happening violently. Your government is not doing anything, allowing it to happen. And when that happens, people lash out. Unfortunately, you can't lash out against at this time. Listen to this clearly, guys. At this time, we cannot lash out against a race, a color, a group of people. There is a process. We need to replace the people we put in politics that make the rules or aren't upholding the rules. You need to use your voice to demand action, demand change. Violence should always be, and I mean this wholeheartedly, should always be the last resort. Because when you tread upon that, when you release the dogs of war, there is no coming back. The body count will be enormous. History has shown us time and time again as technology grows and modern day warfare grows. We talk about precision, but the truth is there's still collateral damage. There's still loss of life. So there's no winning a war. Yes, you may be able to beat a culture or a group of individuals into submission, or you may take it one step farther and commit genocide, which is just going to turn another culture against you. There is no winning in that type of ideology. The first thing we demand, because right now it's just one group causing all the problems. First thing we demand, our borders closed off, secured, no more taking in refugees. No more allowing people that do not, and that they've proven they do not want to integrate. You have no place in any of these countries, ours, Europe's, France, Germany, Sweden. I mean, it'd be like us going into China and telling China, you're going to follow our ideology, our philosophies, our teachings. It's not going to work. If their people want that change, they will bring it about. They will do exactly what we did in the United States. Have a revolution, have a civil war. The very ideology, simple truth is, why is America so hated? Why is the West so hated? It ain't because of diversity. That's the lie. It's because of our freedoms. They know that we represent freedom, liberty. We represent equality. We represent everything they distaste. And it will always be like that unless we submit and bow down and assimilate to their ideologies. Which, good luck with that. You know, here's my saying to all you parents out there: teach your kids the Constitution, teach them the history of this country, teach them to be free thinkers, teach your boys to become men. If they choose to be something else, so be it. But they had that right to choose. They know, they've been taught what it's like to be a man. They've been taught how to work, how to respect women, how to work on a car, how to do outdoor things, how to be a man. To you women out there, teach your daughters to be women. Teach them to respect life, to be strong in their own right, and to demand equality when it's not shown. Guys, relationships really not that hard to go. I suck at it. It really isn't that hard. It's communication. Two people communicate, find common ground even when they disagree, and learn from their disagreements. Always talking about things that most people don't normally talk about anymore. Be open in a relationship. Your relationship will thrive and grow. That bond between you will become inseparable. She will be your rock as much as you are her rock. It's through mutual respect and love. And your children will see that. And you will be their role models. They'll see the authority figure in both of you. Honestly, I can't believe I'm talking about these subjects. One, I don't think any of us should have to. This is common sense. But it seems to be lost, common sense. That's what diversity has caused. Diversity has caused divisions within the family, within the concept of male, female. Everybody's got skills. Everybody's unique. That's beauty. You being unique is beautiful. It means you're different from everybody else. You are you. You know, Actually took me a couple of days to think about how can you talk about this subject and not offend people. The fact is you can't. Society these days is taught and trained to be offended and triggered by any little thing. So you can call me a racist, you can call me a homophobe, you can call me any name in the book, I don't care. You're pretty much what preacher to the wrong person. Read it all, been there, done that. The only other thing I have is the wisdom of my years, the experiences that I've allowed myself to experience that I can relate to. Start building your own experiences. Don't be scared to question. When you start questioning things, when you start seeing things, when they start talking about diversity and all the ideologies of the different diversities that are out there, you'll start seeing that a lot of it's being started to cause division. Which is sad because, sometimes it takes some of these ideologies to come about to get some change as is needed to show where maybe the Constitution isn't quite bringing equality where it needs to be. But what happens is we get people that infiltrate these groups and silences the real voice, changes what the cause was supposed to be about. Then we start blaming the cause in a whole. Then we got young generations coming up that aren't being taught these things. So they don't know any better. So they latch on to an ideology that sounds good, it fits what they see and believe. They don't question it. I mean, when do you guys wake up and stop and think and question? Why do you vote always Democrat? Why do you always vote Republican? Why do you call yourself liberal, Democrat, Republican, conservative, socialist? Why do you call yourself these things? Why don't you just call yourself what you are, an American? For those that live in the United States, for those that live in Europe, you are, I don't know, British? We use British. For those that live in Britain, you are British. You should be proud to be British. And you should not want your culture changed. You should want others to integrate to your culture because you believe it is beautiful. You believe in what it stands for or stood for. Germans, don't be ashamed of your culture. Yes, you had some very bad people in your culture, but so did every culture out there. You all had them. You know, I do believe, and here's the thing with statistics, guys, is why I don't try not to show them. I'm going to get into them much because statistics is, I can go to one poll here, one statistic group here, so one thing completely different from this one, and you're into 100 different things that said different things. And you're just like scientists. Why is there such an argument with climate change? Well, it's simple. You get 20 scientists, 10 have this view of it, and this 10 has this view of it. So, the rhetoric of ideology and the rhetoric of your diversity, you pick the side that matches your ideology. So therefore, these 10 that say climate change doesn't happen are conspiracy theorists, while the 10 that say it does happen are truthers, and vice versa. Because I can say I can use that for an easy example and show you core samples facts from scientists that completely say that imprint that we have and cause That is minuscule. Not that I can turn around and show you the same token from the other group, where they say we had a bigger impact than previous. Of course, samples say different, but it's how you can analyze, interpret it, and it's your ideology, what you believe in. But we become victims and fall into trying to believe one side or the other, and not question. Because, we might not have the skills and knowledges and the ultimate wisdom in that given field. So we don't rely on them to be truthful about it. When in fact, no one's truthful about anything. Everybody has an agenda. Everybody has their own ideology. That is diversity. That causes division. We do not live in a perfect world. No such thing. There's no such thing as a utopia. And for those who want to argue that one, study nature. Look at nature. Nature shows there can never be no such thing as utopia. You take away something from nature, something else dies. Like I said, I'm not a fan of violence. I'm not a fan of preaching violence. Even though if we continue on the road we're on, it probably may have to come to that. Sadly, it's going to come to that in many countries. We've already seen it happen in Venezuela, which we don't really hear talked about even on the news. Why? Because they don't want to admit how bad socialism is. They don't want to admit that when countries are in debt, so far in debt, this is what happens. They don't want to admit a lot of things. They'd rather not talk about it. They'd rather find a bunch of smoke and mirrors to feed down you while all these other things are going on. Because you start seeing the patterns from these other countries that are sort of fall or that don't have immigration laws like we had. I would bet any amount of money if many of you have seen some of these videos that they're trying to ban or arrest people or censor them, threatening them with arrest for showing these things, reporting these things, you guys would have a very different opinion. Once again, diversity. Now, I give props to a lot of these streamers out there, these truthers, that bring these things, talk about these things, but yet even they are divided. And it's sad, because they might not agree with a certain ideology of someone's saying. Instead of stopping, just listen and questioning, and making that person question. There's nothing wrong with a good debate, guys. Just know when you debate, you're going to have to prove why you are bringing these topics to it. And always remember, in these type of venues and forums like that, you gotta be willing and able to put yourself in that person's shoes. It's one of the hardest lessons I had to learn. We talk about all these generations. My generation, that was far from perfect. We had our own little issues. That's the beauty of it. A lot of you guys are still young. You're still experiencing life. Live it, experience it. Don't be so quick to judge. And that's the other problem. We just judge too quick. Instead of realizing, hey, we're American. Okay, that's part of being judgmental is being American because we judge. You're constantly judging people by politics, beliefs, sexuality. And sometimes we forget to stop. Maybe look at history. What has history shown all these things? A lot of times, yes, a lot of times history is not a pretty sight. Sometimes, because histories are things that are probably most likely meant not to be repeated. That's the lesson in a lot of history. Then there's some things in history that's meant to be shared. Actually, all parts of history are meant to be shared so we don't repeat the mistakes, but we build on the successes that came from the result of that history. We need to put an end to rhetoric. We need to put an end to thinking in diversity. Each and every one of you that listen to this and watch us know this. You are very unique. You are different. That's what makes you special. Whether you are a male, female, or whatever the many religions out there that you might happen to be following or practicing. But one common thing that we're going to share on this channel is that we believe in the American way. We are an American society. We believe that everybody should have the right to the very same freedoms and liberties that we have. And we're not going to say, I'm not going to say, I can't speak for you, and let people use diversity to divide. When I see you, I don't see your skin color. I see you, you're an American citizen that's going through some of the very same things I went through or going through. You just might have chosen an easier path away through it than I did, which means you learned somewhere, probably from your parents, not to choose these paths. And can't say that because I learned from my parents, I still chose that path. No one's perfect. Some people just have to learn the hard way over and over until they get tired of learning the hard way. Until they get put in a situation where, yeah, you have to choose. It's either not to enjoy the rest of your life or find out why you keep repeating the same mistakes you keep repeating. You know, sometimes it takes a good dose of reality to slap you in the face. Or sometimes it takes a catastrophic event to wake you up. And guys, that's what scares me. You're heading down that road, faster and faster. All this division, all this rhetoric, it is pushing us to a catastrophic event that none of us want to see, none of us want to even think about. We have too many people screaming the CW word. Our history as Americans already showed what the CW word causes and how much it pits family against family, friends against friends. But imagine on a scale. Let's use it. Let's use the Civil War for an example. Imagine the Civil War on a scale of the way society is today, with all our different ideologies, all our different divisions. How can you find common ground and not turn on the group that you might portray to be, or how do you know that group will even accept you because your ideology is different from theirs, and your guys is different from the other guys'? For you preppers, ask yourself this as well, because some of you believe in communities. Because in the truth, the way all this diversity is caused, it's caused so divided that we'll never be able to truly to distinguish friend from foe. We'll be at war with every ideology base there is. The alt will be at war with the other alts, and they'll be pitted against all the other ones. You see, it's already playing out, just not on a on a different type of warfare. It's more psychological. It's playing out right before your eyes. You need to find a common ground. You need to find a common purpose. For us Americans, it should be just that American. Our Constitution, everything that makes us an American, that should be our rallying cry. You guys you keep saying it, make America great again. Well, to truly make America great again, we need to break free from the rhetoric of diversity. We need to put an end to the ideology of politics, race, religious views. We want to welcome people to this country that believe and want to be an American instead of bringing their ways and trying to force us to assimilate to them. Never going to happen. We start by changing the political spectrum. We start finding people in our communities to represent us that have the same, that believe in the same things. And we find a way to get them elected. You know, I'm not a big fan of putting celebrities into office, because that's what we're going to start seeing. Here's something else you're going to start seeing. You're going to start seeing some of the Democrats start claiming to be Republicans when it comes to the next election, just so they can get the votes. That's coming, guys. Especially when you're dealing with all those different types of ideologies. Eventually, you're going to see they need to find ways to re-infiltrate back into the system, to get put back into office. They're going to change some of their views or find a new face and call them something other than what they're not. Because they might not be Republicans, they might be Democrats in sheep's clothing. Republicans do it all the time too. So, like I said, there's no form of ideology when it comes to politics. It should be putting people in that is for the people. We the people for the people. Those are the people we want. We want the people that believe in the Constitution as it is written, that is proud to be an American, that wants to see the American dream and live. They want to see every citizen prosper, not just only the rich. Because that's the real funny thing. If things would ever go south, these guys aren't even going to be in this country. Or they're not even going to be in the countries that they're in. They're going to be out before the first shot is even fired, hiding in someplace else. That's the truth of it all. They just hide behind the rhetoric. They hide behind a cause. I mean, like I said, my job ain't not to come on here and offend people, or my job is to come on here and make you question things. And if you get offended by it, it means you're questioning something I said, which is good. So, either way, it's a win-win for me. And it's a win-win for somebody that actually manages to trigger me, because it's making me question and think. Why did this subject bother me so much? Why did it get me so heated? Well, some of it got me so heated because, like I said, I'm not used to hearing such rhetoric and talk when history is already shown what happens when you try to single out a culture or a race, and you claim to be, yeah, you guys know what's going with that. The Holocaust taught us a very, very important lesson in history. Yet, that's what shocked me when you hear somebody claims to be a Holocaust from a family of Holocaust victims talking about doing exactly what Adolf Hitler did. Yeah, that would pretty much light a fire under anybody. And it just blew me back that it came from somebody that claims to be Jewish, from that, and from family that were Holocaust survivors. I'm sorry. Most Holocaust survivors that I actually got to talk to, the last thing they would ever preach is eradication of a race of any type, any culture. You know, the worst part of this. You don't know how bad I want to just name drop. It's how mad it made me. It still does. But in a sense, it was needed. It was needed because I've been avoiding this topic for a very long time. Just because it's too easy to piss people off. Everybody's so easily offended, triggered these days. You know, somebody like me is trying to grow their channel, trying to get a message out there on topics like this that are important, topics that need to be talked about. So that open my mouth about these topics. There goes about a dozen followers on Twitter. Yeah, I lost about a dozen followers on Twitter since Saturday. Then for some odd reason, my YouTube channel just doesn't grow. I've already showed you the videos on that, showed you the statistics and analytics of other sites that my videos are being watched. But hey, I've gotten used to that part. I don't care. I know they're getting watched. That's all that matters. I mean, yeah, you can redirect people away from my live streams if you want to, which is happening. In fact, not to get off subject for a second, but that's not off subject because it falls under the rhetoric of diversity because my channel is diversity. My channel is rhetoric. And on the other side of the coin, what I'm talking about, they don't want to be talked about. So therefore, it's a form of diversity, it's a form of rhetoric in their eyes. See, it works both ways. People view it the same. Just because I view it this way doesn't mean the next group don't view my channel the same way I'm viewing theirs. So they don't want us talking about these subjects. So they'll redirect us. Only the last 2 days I've got notifications from live streams that went live that I don't follow, that I'm not even subscribed to, that I would never follow or watch. Don't get me wrong, the science of space station or Hubble satellite thing, live stream, that was kind of cool. But I don't watch, I've never watched or clicked on a link on this channel for any of that. But I got a notification or I get recommendations to things I don't watch. It's like, really? It's cool. I've got an open mind. But now it just shows me, okay, I see what they're doing. So I always expect the same thing is going to happen to when I go live and share streams, that they're going to get redirected away from it. It's cool. Because the beauty about the internet, once it's out there, it's very hard to get rid of it. And eventually somebody will watch it. Somebody on Twitter will watch it. Somebody on the Minds will watch it. Somebody on the Gab will watch it. Somebody will download it and show it to some of their friends and pass it on, vice versa via email. See what I'm saying? So you're not going to trigger me that way. I'm not going to fall into the rhetoric and diversity. I believe that everybody on YouTube is a community. We either stand in it, or we keep being divided and arguing about who's right or wrong. And there's some things on YouTube, my message to YouTube, maybe if you start censoring us less, you might get rid of some of these pedophiles that are putting content on your channel, site up. Just a thought. So I've seen some content. Other people have seen it, mentioned it. You want to focus on us, we're going to have the problem. In fact, we're trying to keep things from over-escalating sometimes. I mean, I'm not going to come on here, but sorry, said I wasn't going to do it. It slipped. Hopefully it's the only time it slipped. We're not going to, this channel, I'm not off fear porn, so I don't think I've ever came off like it's fear porn. Because to me, fear porn is nothing more than clickbait. You've already seen my little experiment with clickbait and using trending tags. Does it work? Unfortunately, yes. Because I could actually tell you right now, if that's how the AI algorithms are going to play things on YouTube. Cool. I'll just use all my meta tags saying I'm debunking all this stuff. There's a way around everything, which is a drawback to that. We're dealing with a system that learns very fast, and every 24 hours resets itself, taking all the stuff it's learned. So what you got away with today, you're probably not going to get away with tomorrow. You guys keep adapting, keep ever changing. You got to be always one step ahead. That's my little message to you guys. One that keeps complaining about how things are going on here. It's just, like I say, guys, diversity is nothing more than a division. It leads me back to the one question that everybody asks. Who do you trust? Who can you trust? How do you find common ground? Well, for me, I'm going to find like-minded people, people that believe in what America stands for. The ideology of freedom and liberties. No matter what your belief is, no matter what your sexual orientation is, no matter what political view. In fact, it's best not to have a political view. Is what I've come to find. It's about voting for the person that respects and honors the Constitution that wants to make America great again and believes in what America stands for, not what we're told it stands for. Sometimes we might have to be a little old school in our methods. Nothing wrong with that. Because it allows you to be able to somewhat find common ground. And don't be scared to call out people when they step over the line. You don't have to make them. Just believe me. The message gets around to them. I try to be a little bit respectful on that part. And it'll save you a lot of headaches. Because also in the end, you got to put yourself in their shoes. Why do they believe this? why those emotions remain so strong. Why are they so fired up? What fired them up? And I can understand on this person's standpoint why, especially when they have been a victim of it. But I don't look at that person as a victim. I look at that person that's grown from that experience, that used that experience to better themselves, make themselves stronger, and became a fighter. That's actually what I respected out of that person. Why I was drawn to that channel. Still will listen. So that's the thing, guys. I'll listen to people that I don't always agree with. In fact, some people I completely disagree with a lot of things they say, but they do still have truths. They do talk about things that interest me. I can't allow diversity or ideologies to cloud my judgment. Just because this person's alt and this person's left or right or whatever. The ones that dictate, that's the proper word, guys, dictate, that there's no other way, but the very ones we do not need to be following. Because when you start dictating that this is the only way, then you're forgetting to respect everybody else's opinions, beliefs, and values. Then you're not respecting people's freedoms of speech and expression. I try to be careful not to become a dictator. I try to express things in a way that hopefully you can relate, which for me, probably the wrong person to be doing that. Not because I'm a dictator, because I'm just not. I think of things in complexity. Simplicity kills me every time. So there's other people out there that probably give the same message in a shorter bit of time and explain it elegantly, where I just cannot. I can write this out elegantly, but if I'm going to write it, I'm just going to post it as a blog, because what's the point? It's not. I don't choreograph my stuff. I don't sit here and write it. I let it flow as it comes through. That's actually how I write too. I let it flow. The difference is when you're writing it, you can go back and make corrections. Like I said, guys, I don't know what your guys' opinions and views are going to be on this video. I'm not even going to guess. Don't want to. But I wanted to redo it, do a part 2 to it, to show you guys and explain it, minus the emotion, with a clearer head. And now I have an example of how emotion being triggered can result in a stream. Truthfully, I'm very thankful that phone call came in Saturday night. But as you can see, that video is still up. I will not delete it, nor am I going to apologize for it. I still stand by everything I said in that video. I just needed to go farther into it, break it down more. Talk about things that I missed. I know I'm missing a bunch more, because there's so much farther we can go when we start talking about the dangers of rhetoric and diversity. Find a common rally cry. Us in the United States, it's We are American. We are not a color. Yeah, we are red, white, blue. We have a rich culture, a culture that came to this country to integrate into our country, to live that American dream. We need to revive that. We need to have a revival of that. We need to make America great again is great, but it needs to go more. It needs to go deeper. It needs to be having everybody here in the United States not talking about racism, sexuality, talking about I'm proud to be an American. I'm proud that my rights and liberties and freedoms are protected and honored and valued. That's something I can get behind. Can you? I hope you guys enjoyed this broadcast. I hope you guys can take something from it that will help better you, make you question things. And what you guys do with this information solely on you. I gave it to you, broke it down. Maybe you guys can break it down better. Feel free to. In fact, I would encourage it. If you didn't like it, hit the thumbs down. Or don't watch it. Turn it off. If you did, hit the like button. Even subscribe if you want. If not, it don't really matter, guys. Because in the end, it only matters to those that this message touches. That makes them question. Maybe it might not happen today. It might not happen 3 or 4 years from now. But something that they have said in this that they watch will eventually come back and they'll remember it. That's the important part. That's the important part of what every one of us streamers do. Every one of us bloggers should do. We put a message out there. Some of us get caught up in the numbers. It's not a numbers game for me, guys. I prefer quality over quantity. I prefer touchy subjects from time to time. Your late's been a lot. Why does touchy subjects make people think? It makes them question. Part of me wishes I had other people that could come on and we could discuss these things. Because it'd be interesting when you get different people with different beliefs and ideologies and mindsets. They can share the same room to talk about these subjects. It is a beautiful thing. But yeah, I'm a new face to this group. This little world around here, it seems. And that's a good thing, too. And I know almost everybody will find something to disagree with me on. And that's a good thing, too. Like I said, I grew up. I'm an older generation. I'm not saying I'm old. At 39, I'm quite young. Feel young, kind of. The abuse I put on my body from sports and various other activities, I just got experience. I've lived life. I'm still living life. I'm still looking to older people, learning from them as much as I'm learning from the younger generation. We never stop learning. We never stop growing. truthfully, we never stop changing. So, but yeah, before I end up rambling on for over an hour, I'm going to get off here. Like I said, I don't know what you guys are going to think. As long as you do think. As long as you maybe not take everything people say at face value. Definitely don't take what I say at face value. Because my experiences are going to be probably different than yours. I hope many of my experiences are different from yours. Like I said, I didn't take the straight and narrow path. I took the very long, bumpy road that was full of pitfalls. But it took me a very long time to learn those lessons. That most of you learn quick. So I will see you guys on the next video, whatever that may be. Like I said, I'm feeling a little bit better. I still have the abscess tooth, but I feel a lot better. And like I said, for those that didn't catch it, I did get some good news. We'll see at the end of the month, but supposedly we're not shutting down the internet. I'm not happy how that came about. But sometimes, as the old saying goes, you gotta know when to fold it, know when to fold it, and know when to walk away. It wasn't a battle worth fighting. Not if I want to keep doing what I'm doing right now. Sometimes it's not a bad thing to swallow your pride, no matter how mad it makes you. So, like I said, I wanted to do something special for my 50th video, and I ended up doing part one to this, which is cool. It was important. So, and like I said, sometime this week I'm gonna try to live stream from all the platforms I'm on. I can get XSplit to cooperate. I should be able to live stream from XSplit from Periscope, Ustream, YouTube, Twitch. I don't have a Facebook chat page for obvious reasons, but I'll be able to reach a larger audience that way. Like I said, please. You know what? When I do that live stream, that's what I'm going to do it on. The tools that are out there for us that you guys can use to be able to do exactly what I'm doing, probably much better than I'm doing, and much like everybody else out there does live stream. I think it's an important video that needs to be done. So I will do that this week. And I look forward to it. So I will talk to you guys later. You guys have a beautiful week.